Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It is 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means it's time for a review show special. Now, this is where I take a deep dive into a particular topic, a particular performer, a particular creator, a particular production company, and I kind of go all in and tell you about one specific product. And today, I'm actually going to be talking about two products that share a big similarity. And these two products have been created by Michael Murray. Now, if you don't know who Michael Murray is, and you've been living under a rock for the last few years, Michael Murray is from Newcastle in the UK, and he is considered one of the greatest creators of mentalism in the world. Michael has literally changed the game over and over again when it comes to mentalism. And one of the things that Michael does is he releases new magic at the Blackpool Magic Convention every year. And it's always, his booth is the one where a lot of people consider the trick of the convention is going to be. A couple of years ago, it was Showreel, his magazine test. Year before, every year, there's something that Michael brings out that's just absolutely incredible. And this year at the Blackpool Magic Convention, he brought out several new things, but two of the things he brought out was an effect called Polarity and an effect called the System. And a lot of people were saying that these are the tricks of the convention 2024. They've made a lot of people's lists of the best tricks of Blackpool Magic Convention. So a lot of people have asked me to review them, and that's what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to be giving a full review for both Polarity and the System. Now, they are very similar, so please bear that in mind. And both of them kind of expand on the work that Michael has been kind of obsessed with over the last few years. Michael's brought out lots of effects, lots of booklets, lots of ebooks. He's got a lot of work on having somebody think of a playing card and tell them how that card, what that card is. And it feels like they could think of any card, but over the years, he's refined techniques and principles that allows him to verbally limit people's selections in a very kind of organic way so that he is able to correctly identify the card that somebody's thinking of. Now, the problem with a lot of the work that Michael's put into this over the years is it's not the easiest thing to do. It doesn't require sleight of hand, but there's a lot of mental gymnastics, and the scripting has to be just on point in order to make it work. One of my earliest memories of, well, not one of my earliest memories, but one of my favourite memories of Michael Murray was a few years ago when we were at the Blackpool Magic Convention, and he was drunk. It was at the Ruskin. It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning, and he bumped into me, and he did one of these mental effects on me where I ended up thinking of a card, and he told me exactly what the card was, and I was blown away. I had no idea how it worked. It made me feel like a layman again, because there was no way that he could have got that information. And that's the power of a lot of the work that Michael's put in over the years. Now, the problem with it is, like I say, there's a lot of mental gymnastics, but there's also a lot of memory work. It's the sort of principle, it's the sort of kind of procedure that if you don't do it all the time, you're going to forget how it's done, because there's a lot to remember and a lot to think through. So that brings us to the System, which is the first thing that we're going to be looking at here. And the System is Michael's attempts to take those various principles and those various techniques that he's created over the years and simplifying them right down. And he does this through the use of a poker chip. So what you get with the System is you actually get 3 poker chips. And they're very nicely made. They're clay poker chips. They're not stickers as far as I can see. Really nice poker chips. And they're all from the Desert Spa casino, apparently. And you can examine these. You can look at them. They look very normal. They look just like normal casino trips. And in a way, they aren't gimmicked in any way. It's not like there's a little flap or anything in there. There's nothing like that. But these 3 poker chips allow you to do some incredible things. Now, the download that comes with the System is around about an hour and a half long. And Michael covers everything with a fine-tooth comb. But, and the first thing he does, by the way, which is incredible, when you first start watching the tutorial for the System, he tells you to grab one of the poker chips, and he tells you to, and he basically performs the trick on you over the download. So he's telling you to do things, and you are, and then he tells you the card that you're thinking of, and he gets it right, or at least he did for me, which was amazing. Like, that was just incredible. It took me back to when Lloyd Barnes did the tutorial for Cognito, and he did basically the same thing. I thought it was so clever. So you see that, and this routine, just so you know, it's not designed for a virtual performance. It's designed for a real life performance. But he does actually kind of go through a performance to you on almost like a one-on-one personal basis, which is great. And in the tutorial, you get a bunch of different ideas and a bunch of different routines. One of the routines you get, and he's got like almost like a little act that uses 3 of the chips. You can use these chips to do free will. These chips are marked in a very, very organic way. He spends a long time talking about the markings on these chips. That the first time he had these chips designed, he took them out to a bar and it was very low light and he couldn't see the mark, so he had to redesign it. These marks could be read in any scenario, in any situation at all. These marks could be seen. Which is cool. But what it means is you can just see it easily, anytime, anywhere. But the marks aren't really used for the main effect. But you can use the marks. I mean, you could use these to do free will style routines, Visa Cabaret style routines, predictions, multiple outs. There's a lot of stuff that you can use these chips for. But in essence, you can take just one of them if you want to, have one chip in your pocket, and you can use it to do a thought-of card reveal. Or you can take 2 chips and use it to do a thought-of card reveal. Or 3 chips. You can take the 3 chips, you can do a whole bunch of stuff with the 3 chips and finish with a thought-of card reveal. Because of how these chips are printed and how the system is designed. Now, I sat down with Jack and I did a performance just of the card reveal using 2 chips. So I took 2 chips and I did a performance of just the card reveal, which is kind of the main routine that you're buying the system for. And I went to watch this performance, but more importantly, I went to watch how Jack freaks out. Jack has seen a lot of magic, and a lot of stuff just kind of doesn't surprise him anymore. But you'll see how much this freaks him out because he just doesn't see it coming. So let's have a look at a performance that I did to Jack. This is a trick that really can make you look like you can do real mind reading. We're going to put that to the test as I try to do real mind reading on a man who has no mind. How you doing, Jack?
Sorry, I didn't realise Matt was there.
Good to see you, buddy. I'm going to show you something incredible.
Okay.
And it's all to do with 2 things. One, I want to create a really random scenario here, and also I want to do it in a way where you're making all of the choices. Okay. The only choice I don't want you to make, it's about a playing card. I don't want to take a deck of cards out and have you pick a card. I also don't want you to just think of a card, because psychologically there's certain cards that are very popular. So we're going to go for it in a really random way. And we can do that with these poker chips. Now, I picked these up last time I was over in the States. They're from Vegas when I went to Magic Live last year. One of them's worth $50, one of them was worth $10. Nice. To be honest, the poker chips aren't important. What's important is where they're from. You can see they're from a place in Vegas called the Desert Spa. Not a particularly big casino, but it was... I quite like the design of the chips. When you hold them like this...
Very colourful.
Yeah, when you hold them like this so you can see the writing. So not when it's upside down, but the right way up. They're basically the same on both sides in that there's words, as you can see. There's 2 white words on either side of the chip on both sides. In a bit, we're going to be working with those white words. Okay? But the first thing is, like I said, you're going to make all the decisions. So start off by taking these 2 chips. You're going to put them behind your back. You're going to mix them up so even you don't know which one's which. Then you're going to bring them up and put them on the table. Okay? If you take them behind your back and do that, that would be absolutely tickety-boo.
Tickety-boo.
Yeah. And while you're doing that, I will tell everyone a joke.
Oh, God.
Would you like to see my impression of a campfire? Oh, I'm burning. Please hurry, I'm dying on my arse.
Get out.
Thank you. Right, so, 2 chips. Like I said, all the decisions are yours. The first decision, when I snap my fingers, you are going to take one of the chips. Okay? Without looking at it, but you can take one of the chips away. It's up to you. You can have this one or this one. Can you do that right now? Perfect. Now, the next decision, because like I said, there are multiple decisions to make. The next decision, would you like to switch that chip for this one? You can do if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to.
I'll stick.
Okay. We'll put that one out of the way. So I'm going to look away, Michael. I want you to see that I am looking away through the whole of this.
Yeah.
There are two reasons for this. I don't want to see anything that Jack's doing, and I don't really want to look at Jack either. That's the main reason. So, Jack, I'm looking away now. What I want you to do is I want you to take that chip, and you can look at the value now because I'm not looking. That's absolutely fine. And then you've got two options here. The first option is you can spin and flick that chip up in the air so it lands on a random side. The other option is, if you want to, you could just turn it over and over again, because I've seen you spin a coin, and frankly, it's embarrassing. So I want to give you an easy out on camera. It's completely up to you. Would you like to spin or turn?
No, I'm gonna I'm gonna spin.
Go for it. Dude, you've been practicing. How's the spinning looking, Jack? Did he do well, Michael?
He did, and he caught it.
Nice,
Just
dude.
about.
Yeah.
Just about.
Right. So you're now looking at the side.
Yep.
Yeah? Hold it so you can see it. So you can see the writing as well, so it's orientated the correct way. And the next decision, and you don't have to tell me if you do this or not, it's completely up to you. But the next decision that you have to make is, if you want to, you can turn it one more time and look at a different side. If you want to do that, you can. It's completely up to you. If you don't want to, you don't have to. You don't have to let me know either. But you've settled on a side now, is that right?
Yep.
Cool. So I pointed out the two white words at the bottom.
You did?
There's one on the left, there's one on the right. You're going to be working with one of those words. I'm going to leave it to chance. The poker chip is worth a value. I know you know what that value is now. If you have a 10, you're working with the word on the left. If you have a 50, you're working with the word on the right.
Okay.
Okay? Whichever word you're working with, I want you to change just that word to the opposite of what it is. So if you're looking at, I don't know, even, you'd change it to odd. If you're looking at low, you'd change it to high. You get the idea, right?
Yep.
So now we've completely randomized everything, because now you're looking at a word, I don't know which word, that you've changed over in your head. The other word, the one that you didn't choose to work with, that stays the same.
Okay.
So we now have two words that you're looking at, right?
Yep.
One that you changed and one that you stayed the same. Use those two words to think of a value of a card.
Okay.
Now, it's safe to say I couldn't know that value, because I don't know which chip you took. I don't know which way you flicked it. I don't know which word you changed. I don't know anything. But I know you're thinking of a value. Is that correct?
I am.
We're going to use that value. Actually, we should come up with a suit for it as well. Let's randomize the choice of the suit as well. Because I don't know what value you're thinking of, we'll do it like this. There's 4 suits: clubs, hearts, spades, diamonds. If you're looking at if you're thinking of a high odd, go with a club. If you're thinking of a low odd, think of a spade. If you're thinking of a high even card, go for a heart, or a low even card, go for a diamond.
Okay.
So now you've got a suit and you've got a value.
Yep.
Would you agree that there's no way I can know what that card is?
Don't see how.
So hold that chip in your hand. I'm going to turn around now. So this is where you get to use your imagination. I want to imagine that card. Now, seriously, this isn't like I took a deck of cards out and had you pick a card. This isn't like I even got you to just think of a card and you ended up naming one that everybody names. This is a card that, through a series of actions and decisions that you made that are totally random, that I am not aware of, you have come up with a card that no one could know other than you, because it's locked into your brain. I'm going to make this easy for you, Jack. I want to imagine I'm holding a card here. I'm holding a card at the tips of my fingers. You're looking at the back of it right now. What is the colour of the back of the card?
It's a blue back.
It's a blue back, and when I turn it around, you see the face. I want to imagine, I'll make it easy for you. It's the 3 of spades.
Right. What?
Jack, I'm holding
What the
the
fuck?
3 of spades. What was the card you were thinking of?
The 3 of spades. What the fuck? Hang on. What? Mike, help me. What just happened? I don't get it. How do you know? I'm confused. What's going on? That's broke me.
That's broke me. You like that one? So what you just saw there is pretty much how it plays every single time. And what you have here in the system, beyond all the other stuff that you can do with these chips, what you in essence have is a way to carry a couple of chips around with you and do a thought of card reveal when they feel like there's no way you could know the card that they've thought of. Now, this is very similar to Polarity, which I'm going to be looking at next. And when I saw Polarity the first time, you're going to see a performance of the first time Michael performed Polarity to me. I freaked out. In fact, I freaked out to the point that the people on the Magic Cafe were saying that I faked my reaction to this, which I didn't, because I couldn't understand how Michael could possibly work out how I knew the card. The method made absolutely no sense, because I did the normal typical magician thing, right? I was trying to work it out as I went. And it was so random with what was going on. Everything was completely random. It was impossible for me to work out what was going on. It just didn't make any sense. I couldn't work it out, which is why I reacted the way I did. Obviously, there's a technique to it. Obviously, there's a principle behind it. But for me, it made no sense at all. It was just like almost pure mind reading. And that's what you have with the system. You can take one chip with you, put one chip in your pocket, and you can have people apparently make a series of random decisions and then tell them the card that they're thinking of. Now, there's pros and cons. Now, the big pro behind this is, why would you carry a deck of cards around with you when, arguably one of the most powerful things you can do with a deck of cards is you can have somebody think of a card and tell them the card they're thinking of. I mean, it's been around since time began for that very reason, right? So that's arguably one of the things that's most powerful to do with a deck of cards. Well, if you can do that without a deck of cards, and you can do that by just carrying a poker chip around with you, well, it's way stronger, right? So, you talk about everyday carry. You throw this in your pocket, you throw this in your phone case, you throw this in your wallet, and you're good to go anytime, anywhere. I mean, that's killer, right? There's no two ways about it. That is absolutely killer. Now, I've heard some people say, there's a bit of a negative to this, which is there's a lot of procedure that you have to go through in order to get to the point where you're telling them the name of the card. Now, I don't think that there is that much procedure. Yes, there is. I mean, it's not as direct as think of a card, this is the card that you're thinking of. But let's be honest, there's absolutely no way you could possibly go down that route. There's no way that you could go down the route of just saying, think of a card, this is the card you're thinking of. So there has to be a certain amount of procedure, and I don't think that procedure is a problem as long as you have the audience invested in your performance. If you have the audience invested in your performance and they're listening to you and they're able to follow instructions, then I think this could be just incredible. You have to be careful, though. This is not the sort of thing that you'd want to do to somebody that's drunk. This is not the sort of thing that you would want to do to somebody where there's a lot of distractions. Like the other day, I went and did walk around at a gig, and there were like 600 people there in the room, and it was walk around magic, and I was doing 600 people, and everybody was bumping into everyone else. It was like a sardine tin, and everyone was holding drinks, and people were getting distracted and then getting turned back around. This wouldn't work in that environment. This wouldn't work in the environment where you're doing banquet tables, for example, and you're walking over to the banquet table, because you need to have people's undivided attention. So I think, first of all, this is not an opener. This has to be something that you do once you've established credibility. You need to get people to understand that you're good at what you do. You know what you're doing. You're good at what you're doing. You need to establish credibility. Once you've established credibility, this is the sort of thing that you could pull out. Also, this is the sort of thing that David Penny used to refer to this as kind of pipe and slipper magic. And what I mean by pipe and slipper magic is it's the sort of thing that, like, you've done the gig, you've gone over to the client, and the client's like, hey, can you show me one more thing? And you take them to one side with a couple of their friends, and you do this. And I think it's about educating them about how impossible this is versus having somebody pick a card. Because the other thing is, you have to consider the question, well, I can have somebody think of a card without a deck of cards using this poker chip, or I can have someone pick a card and do a classic force. Ultimately, at the end of the day, isn't it the same thing? Or I could get someone to pick a card using a Svengali deck, or I could get someone to pick a card using a Mirage deck, or I could get somebody to pick a card using Digital Force Bag and have all the cards listed down there. Why is this better? I think the reason this is better is because there are no other props in play. It is literally a poker chip that's helping them make a series of random decisions. And if you stress that, if you stress how impossible this is, then people will react really strongly to it. My only disappointment with this, and I don't think it's a disappointment, but my only thing that's worth noting is I don't think I'm going to get a lot of time, a lot of places that I can actually perform this, purely because a lot of the places I do close-up gigs, this would not be appropriate. A lot of the places where I do formal close-up shows, this would not be appropriate. Where this will be appropriate is as an everyday carry. Where this will be appropriate is stick it in my wallet. Somebody says, do you want to see a trick? I go, yeah, okay. And it's also the sort of thing that you're going to be able to remember forever, because it's not a difficult thing to do. Outside of just simply revealing the card, there are other things that you can do as well. Obviously, there's no outs as such. It's not like it's a multiple out trick, because it's not. It's a very clever system. I don't want to say exactly what's happening, but it's not a multiple out. You might at the end be in a situation where you have to add one line of patter in order to come to a successful conclusion, but Michael goes through that with a fine-tooth comb. Suffice to say that whatever card they think of, you will leave them with the impression, absolutely certainly, that they think that you've just read their mind and told them the card, even though they've not wrote it down, they've not took it out of a deck of cards, they've not said anything to anybody. They will think that you know what the card is. So that is the system. Now, let's talk about Polarity. Polarity is very simple, similar to the system, but without using poker chips. It uses 2 cards. So if you like doing like everyday carry stuff, you could carry a poker chip around with you, or you could have these 2 cards that you could literally put into a credit card slot in your wallet. And these 2 cards, well, basically, they do the same thing as these poker chips do. They create a procedure that allows you to know with absolute certainty what the card is that the person's thinking of. Now, like I said, Michael actually performed this to me. When I did an interview with him before the Blackpool Magic Convention, did an interview with Michael talking about his new tricks, and he was talking about this. And he actually did a performance of Polarity for me, and blew me away. Like, I had no idea how it worked. So let's have a look at that performance, just of Michael performing Polarity to me, so you can see exactly what this is all about.
This isn't an effect that's been designed to be performed via a virtual medium, but we're gonna attempt it nonetheless.
Okay.
So I've discussed over the call how to actually create a set of these cards. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take one of the cards in your left hand, one of the cards in your right hand, and you will notice that there are 2 words written on each card. So on one side of the first card, you've got the word low, and then on the opposite side, you've got the word high. On the other card, you've got the word odd, and on the opposite side, you've got the word even. Yes?
Yeah.
Now, there's also suits on the cards as well. And what's interesting is if we sort of pair the cards together, so if you have them so that you can see the word low and odd, and if you pair them together, you'll notice there's a dominant suit. You should be able to see 4 suits, but 2 of them match.
Yes.
What suit is that?
Spade.
Okay. If you turn over the card in your right hand, and then if you sort of pair the cards together, what's the dominant suit now?
Heart.
Okay. If you turn the card in your left hand over and pair them together, what's the dominant suit now?
Club.
Okay, perfect. And if you turn the card in your right hand over, then you have the
Diamond.
the diamond. Okay. If you just take the card in your right hand and just flip it over, I'm going to leave you to tell me what you see now. What's the dominant suit?
It is club.
Okay, perfect. Now, this is just so that you understand that we can cover pretty much any playing card using these cards, because as you know, cards can be high, they can be low, they can be odd, they can be even, and they can be one of 4 different suits. At this moment in time, not that I've really kept track, but I believe I do know the orientation of those cards. So do me a favor, Craig, take both of those cards below the table. Okay. Yep. And what I want you to do is I want you just to flip one of them over. Okay.
Okay.
Whichever one you flip over, place it on top of the other one.
Got it.
Now, is it fair for me to say that I couldn't know which card you flipped over?
Not a chance.
So I don't know the orientation of the cards?
No.
But you might, and it's most important that you don't. So what I want you to do is take both cards together as a pair and just give them a spin like this. And what I'd like you to do is just stop whenever you want.
Okay.
In fact, whatever the top card is, I'd like you just to place it on the bottom.
Okay.
Give them another spin. And again, stop wherever you want.
Done.
In fact, whatever the top card is, flip it face up. Okay.
Yep.
And take one card in each hand.
Yep.
So you don't know the orientation of the cards at the minute, so I can't. I couldn't know which card you flipped over. I couldn't know what card you placed top to bottom. I couldn't know when you were spinning those cards where you decided to stop. I couldn't know anything.
Nope.
But what I want you to do is I want you to get a playing card in mind. So what I'd like you to do is, have you got a card in each hand? If
Yeah.
not, take a card in each hand and slowly sort of pull them from under the table, just enough so that you can see what's written on them. There'll be two words that you can see. The words will be high, low, odd, or even. It'll be a combination of those words.
Yes.
Yeah. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to use those two words to formulate a playing card value in your mind.
Okay. Yeah.
And then what I'd like you to do is pair them together so that you can see the dominant suit.
Yes.
And whatever the dominant suit is, that'll be the suit of your card.
Yes. Got it.
Okay. You can place those cards off to one side now. We just use those to create a playing card in your mind, one card from 52. And as we already explained, depending on the orientation of the cards, the suit will change depending on the orientation of the cards. The entire playing card would change. But I'll tell you what, Craig, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this very easy for you. Can you just imagine that I'm holding the 3 of spades?
What the fuck? That's insane. I think one of the reasons that I love Polarity so much is it just feels really random. I'm flipping cards. You've only got 2 cards. You're flipping them over. You're flipping them over. You're flipping them over. It feels impossible that you could know anything, and you immediately know everything. I mean, it's absolutely killer. Now, the question is, I don't need to go through all the pros and cons again because honestly, it's the same trick. The only difference is one uses poker chips and one uses cards. So the question is, which one is best? Well, I don't, and that's really down to the individual. Some people might say that the cards really are obviously a thing that's designed for magicians because you can sit, you know, what is it? It doesn't have a purpose. They're 2 cards, right? Whilst this looks like a chip that you would get from a casino. It really does. They've spent a lot of time and effort thinking about what this chip is going to look like. So if you're wanting to hide the fact that you're using a magic prop, then I would suggest maybe going for the system. If you don't mind about that and you just want to have something that goes into your credit card wallet and you want to bring something out as a tool to help people decide what card to pick, then absolutely go to a Polarity. Michael has on his website a bundle deal where if you pick up Polarity and the system, you actually get a discounted rate off the 2 of them. And that's what I did. I picked up Polarity and the system, and I got a discounted rate from both of them. So, yeah, I mean, look, ultimately, at the end of the day, you need to decide whether this works for you. You need to decide if you're a magician, you do ambitious cards, you do cards of pocket, you do card in the box, you do lots of visual stuff. There's a very good chance this is not going to work for you. If you're a mentalist and you do a lot of mentalism and you like people to believe that you can influence their decisions, you like people to believe you can read their minds, then this is probably going to be right in your wheelhouse. Whether you get for Polarity or you get the system, both of them, I think, are going to be the sort of thing that a lot of mentalists are going to love. Me personally, I do mentalism, not as much as I do magic, and I can appreciate the simplicity. Even though it feels quite procedural, it's very, very simple. I got this down very, very quickly after watching the tutorial. In fact, halfway through, I was kind of trying to skip ahead of Michael because I could kind of see where he was going, but I didn't want to skip ahead because I wanted all the little extra bits and business that I knew that he would include in the tutorial. So I'm going to give both of these 90%. I'm not going to give them 100% because I'm not going to do them outside of an everyday carry. But I am going to do them. Out the 2 of them, I think it's the system that I'll do the most because I like the idea of having a poker chip with me that I got from a casino. I think that would fit me personally better. but there's nothing wrong with Polarity. I'm going to give them both 90%. I'm going to highly recommend them. The caveat is, if you're a mentalist and you do mentalism style routines, honestly, I would up this to 100%, because I think that even if you didn't use the chip, or even if you didn't use the cards, and you're going to, but even if you didn't, just seeing the thought process and the evolution that Michael has gone through to go and take an incredibly complicated procedure and really kind of use one simple prop to make it as simple as it possibly can. It's genius. It really is. And I'm really glad that at the beginning of the tutorials, Michael kind of went through everything with a fine-tooth comb with regards to the history and the crediting and so on and so forth. So it gets 90% from me. It's very, very good. You can get it from Mind Effects or from your favorite magic dealer, both Polarity and the System, 90%. So there you go, guys. That's another review show special in the bag. Do me a favor, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, you want to see more videos like this, like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below, and don't forget, if you haven't already checked out the Q&A, please do so. It went up at 12 o'clock today. It's a good one this week. Go and check out the Q&A. And finally, you want to join the Netrix, just go to www.thenetrix.com. That's www.thenetrix.com, not cookies.com. You can go and check it out and see all the fuss is about. We've had more people sign up this last month than we have in the last year. Like month on month, this is the best month for the last year, is what I mean. So thank you to all the new signees of the Netrix. Hope you're enjoying all the contents. I'm sure I'll see some of you in the next VMC, but I'll see everybody else on the next Magic TV episode. Thanks for watching. My name's Craig, and this is Magic TV.